Spoliation on commercial properties becomes a massive thing. Especially, so I mean, just recently I had an experience. So I'll set the framework and then jump in there. So I like recent experience when it comes to whether the supply of electricity, for example, to a commercial property is incidental to possession. And all that pretty much means for the viewers in legal terms is possession of the property, is the supply of electricity like fundamental, paramount to possession of the property, or can they be divided from each other? And this is something in our law that you can go back 100 years to try and figure out. And there's been millions of different court cases saying different things. But yeah, so I mean, as like recently, we'd seen that some of the courts have now all of a sudden turned and said, oh, you know what? You need electricity for fuel pumps, so it is incidental. Commercial landlords should not be disconnecting electricity. It is still subject to facts, but yeah, Nick, your experiences?
It's a big question mark. As you said, there's been some substantial case law recently, which has sort of hinged on the fact that there's a contractual nature and spoliation might be okay, not specifically, with commercial, but for instance, sectional title, that's a contractual relationship between the owners and the particular body corporate in the circumstances. And it is a big question mark. I know a lot of my clients include provisions within their lease agreements that says specifically, in the event that you're not paying the electricity, you can disconnect on, the utilities to the particular premises. And the trick is sometimes, clients want to do that. I err on the side of caution, unfortunately, when it comes to spoliation orders, because at the end of the day, you still got to sit in front of a judge. And one of the toughest things for attorneys and clients to understand is that at the end of the day, your judge is still a human being. And we wish that all judges came out with the same judgment over and over and over and over. But the fact is they don't. And the fact is that every single case that you have is different in its facts. Okay. And so your spoliation orders, I mean, I would love to say that electricity absolutely not incidental to possession. It would make my clients' lives a lot easier, but I'm afraid in the circumstances, it's simply not that easy a question to answer. And as you say, Bruno, we've been going down this road for years to try to figure out if there's a clear-cut answer on this. I still don't have one, unfortunately.
It's crazy. So when I started studying law, the whole point of it was, with law, there's rules, there's regulations. Like you understand what you can do and what you can't do. Like it brings kind of clarity to the world. That I don't feel, thank God I like gray areas, but I feel as though after studying law, there's more gray areas now than there ever was. Like nothing, absolutely nothing. And I mean, clients come to me and they're like, well, can I disconnect or can't I? And it's like, I don't know. And they're like, but surely it's gone before court. It has. Even they don't know. No one knows. So if you do it, let's go try. We see what the result is. But yeah, I cannot give you an opinion because I would write this opinion for days. I'd bring 50 cases and show you how this one succeeded, this one didn't. 100%. And there is no strict, especially with spoliation, because like you said, I do feel a lot of it is subjective also to judges, and you'll find that a judge will understand or interpret, some of the, previous cases towards certain facts. So yeah, it is. And then you have the judges that are very like to the line and they go, listen, this 100%. Is the case. This is the case. I'm sorry. It's, it is or 100%. Isn't. Yeah.
100%. And you got to remember, as we said at the start of this, commercial is determined on the agreement itself. So there's no overriding legislation. So the biggest thing about this question of is spoliation going to work in those circumstances, or is it spoliation if you do disconnect utilities, and especially, electricity in the circumstances is, well, what does your agreement say? And almost every agreement, that exists in the industry is different, and it's worded differently, and it can be applied differently. So unfortunately, that's one of those questions, again, I receive from clients a lot. And the answer is we don't know. We don't know. We don't have a clear-cut answer. And at the end of the day, the court's going to interpret it in the way that the case is presented in the circumstances.
Like to wrap up that point, what is interesting though is there were quite a few court cases that were well respected that used to say that it's not incidental, and this current one now actually took a business and said it is a business. A business functions with electricity. I mean, how can a petrol station not have pumps? It's fundamental, right? It's not simply an office with a desk and internet. And even the argument was like, yeah, but people have access to generators. What's the issue? And the court here said, sorry, you know what? We feel it is. And what that basically means for the sake of the viewers is in these cases, the court said that it was spoliation because possession was hampered. It wasn't just a separate right somewhere that was disconnected. It was possession, and spoliation works off the back of possession.
Absolutely. And that's why, you know, what I do in a lot of circumstances where, say, we want to get a disconnection of electricity on a particular premises. Remember, the basis of a spoliation is you've taken the law into your own hands without a right to do so. Okay. Now whether the lease agreement gives you that right automatically or not is the question mark here. So what you can do in circumstances is obviously apply to the court for an enforcement of that particular order. So if it's agreed that the electricity can be disconnected, approach court first. You know, once you've got that order, it's no longer a spoliation application in your hands because you haven't taken the law into your own hands. You know, again, every time I talk about doing a thing like that, you know, I have clients who are so excited to, you know, approach court and get electricity disconnected. It's a very complex order because at the end of the day, the real fundamental question is, well, why do you want that? And why don't you just get an eviction at the end of the day?
Yeah, so true. So true.